So never in a million years would I have come up with something as creative and inventive and just ultimately charming as the explanation for dial power and how it's used.
One Piece, Chapter 240, Dial Power.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and adventure-packed tale of One Piece. Our last chapter, of course, saw us with the Straw Hats kind of having almost like a little mini vacation, I guess you'd call it. They're usually under some kind of attack from some enemy, some antagonist. They're usually on the run from something. And this was kind of just a cool, we got to the upper stratum, the White Sea, and then just kind of, we're hanging out on the beach, wound up meeting some of the locals, Conis and her father Pyrobloin, who came in on a wave boat, and that's how the chapter ended off. We were told that the wave boat is powered by dial power, and that is what that's where things left off. That's where things pick up, and this chapter is entitled Dial Power, and rightly so, because they do wind up during the course of the chapter giving a pretty good description of it, and let me tell you, it's cool. I think, anyway. So, we'll get right into it here. We wind up, the chapter starts off, and Luffy, of course, wants to ride this wave boat, wave runner looking thing, and it really does. It looks like a jet ski or a wave runner, and he goes and gets going on it, and and immediately is losing control, and he's like, oh, it's shaking, I can't. And he goes flying off. Everybody's sitting on the beach watching, right? And it's funny because obviously Luffy with his devil fruit powers in the regular sea, we know that certainly he can't swim. He sinks like a rock. And so Zoro and Sanji are like, yeah, I wonder if he's gonna sink or if it's or if he'll be okay because this is like a cloud sea. And I think it's Zoro says, oh well, we'll see, or Sanji, whatever. And then, oh, he's sinking. Yeah, we better go get him. Then the next scene, you wind up going and seeing Luffy getting pulled out of there, right? And he's like, oh, I almost fell through the clouds. And then Usopp is pulling Chopper out, and he's like, Chopper, why did you jump in, So we wind up getting, it's fairly comical, and they wind up talking a bit about how it's, Conis says about how it's very difficult to learn how to ride these. It took her, since she was a kid, and she just recently now learned how to, we presume she's like a maybe mid to late teenager, she just now learned how to actually control and use one. Then we go and we look up and we see Nami like, woohoo! And she's cruising on the waves, man. And she talks to Luffy about how you just got to have, I guess you just don't have the gentle touch, So without getting into anything perverted, apparently Nami does have a softer or more gentle touch. I guess it's that woman's touch that everybody tells me about. So, so it is kind of neat though, because you see her cruising around, and even Conis and Pyrobloin are like, what the hell is going on? How is she able to ride this thing, because it's like I said, then they go into the whole, like, it takes about 10 years approximately for somebody, because Chopper had wanted to ride on it too, so then Luffy's getting all pissed off, and Luffy's like, hey, we're going to the guy's house to eat, stupid idiot. And he's all mad because she's having fun and he couldn't, right? He almost died, of course, because of getting thrown off of it. So anyway, so they're going to go and cruise to that. Nami asks if she can stay out a little bit longer, and they're like, yeah, sure, just be careful. So everybody goes and cruises up and goes walking away. As they're walking away, Luffy's still going and calling her, hey, sink, you idiot, or whatever, And then Sanji goes and just kind of bitch slaps him across the back of the head, and it's funny because in the next thing, when they're walking up the stairs in the next scene, I guess you'd call it, you see a word bubble from Luffy like, hey, you made me bite my tongue. So as they go and walk by this area on the way to Pyrobloin and Conis's home, they wind up seeing this cloud quarry that I could only resemble it, I guess could resemble like a rock quarry, and we get an explanation on the clouds. Apparently, there are two types of clouds. There are island clouds and there are sea clouds. Sea clouds are the ones that are ocean-like and thinner that you can actually ride your boat through, and the island clouds are ones that can be compressed to different types of densities for the chairs and things like that, but ultimately, that's what they're walking on is the island clouds. You can't ride a wave runner over one of the wave boats over an island cloud. And he explains about Sea Prism. And Sea Prism, if you remember back when they explained, well, they explained it a couple of different times, but during Alabasta as well as Logtown, they talked about it briefly, and Sea Prism is what negates a devil fruit user's power, and it's obviously that's one of the catalysts that is the big catalyst that makes them sink, like a rock when they go into the water. So Sea Prism is not particularly in the clouds, but I guess one of the elements that's in there is found is one of the primary elements that's found in these clouds. But what happens is, they explain, is that volcanoes that erupt and go and shoot debris and dust and dirt and everything else that goes up into the air, the ash and whatnot. In that ash is contained keratin. Keratin is in your fingernails, and there's several other different liquid forms of it and everything like that. But the keratin flakes, I guess you would say, rise up into the atmosphere and then kind of bond with moisture from the clouds, creating either sea clouds or island clouds. And they explain that that it was that thing that they came in. They call it the Milky Road. That thing that they came in from the just from the white to the white to the upper stratum. That the crab pulled them along, or the lobster. That was actually like a man-made slide, I guess you would call it, almost. You know what I mean? Like a tunnel, a man-made cloud tunnel. And he explains that, Pagaya explains that, basically the chairs that they sat on, for instance, those are created at like the cloud quarry. They can compress the clouds to the proper density that they want to have, depending on how thick or thin or light or fluffy or hard or whatever that they want to do. So it's very cool to kind of see that whole world explained, and that's the type of stuff that I really enjoy. So then they go and they get to Pagaya and Conis's house, and it's kind of neat because we see Luffy go and pick up this thing that just looks like a shell, like a seashell, and he goes and he says, "Usopp, you idiot!" And then Usopp's like, "What did I do?" And then Conis says, "Press the apex of the shell," and Luffy, of course, doesn't know what the hell that means. What's the apex, And Usopp says, "The top of the shell," He says, "There's nothing. Oh wait, there's a soft spot." He presses it and it repeats it. "Luffy, you're an idiot," And Usopp going, "What did I do?" And Luffy's like, "Oh my god, it's so cool." We find out this is the introduction to dial power. This particular one is a sound dial, and they use it to record music. So it's similar to like an MP3 player, I guess you would say. It can record sounds and music and then play them back. And then they explain that they have all different types of shells. Like, for instance, the wind dial. The wind dial, depending on its size, is actually used. They show a diagram of Luffy like spinning his arm, and he says if you put 30 minutes of wind, pressurized air into it, you can get 30 minutes on command out of it, right? So that's obviously how that one works. Different size ones can propel different size boats, and that's what makes the wave boats go, right? So that's that power that they were talking about. That we wind up finding out that they have ones for pictures. They've got ones for light, like lamp ones. And it's really very cool because it is it's the shell of a dead fish is what it is, a dead sea creature. And they even ask, if there's no bottom to the sea, how do they, get these things? And I think it's Conis or Pagaya. One of them explains that, they wash up on sandbars and things like that. And really, Skypiea and just kind of their whole civilization and how it works really runs off of this dial power, which I never could have imagined would have been like this. So very, very cool stuff. And very neat to get the whole explanation of that and how it works, So we wind up getting then they're gonna have some dinner. They're gonna sit down and eat. We see Sanji kind of struggling in the kitchen with Pagaya. He tries some kind of blue liquid. His tongue goes numb, and then Pagaya's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, that was that's rotten or that's bad, expired." And he's like, "What the hell? Are you trying to kill me?" Next thing you know, they got this nice feast laid out for him, and everybody's sitting down to eat. And Luffy's, "Oh, there's good lobster," and they're all having a good time, right? And then somebody's like, where's Nami, And I don't see her out there anymore, because a couple of times while they were in the house, they actually were able to look out and just kind of see her cruising around on the waves. And then all of a sudden, Conis and Pagaya start to get a little bit nervous, And I had actually saved the page, but this is the second time I had to record this because I've been having, unfortunately, just a number of different computer difficulties, I guess you would call them. So that's just what we'll call them for lack of a better word. Anyway, so as they're sitting down and eating, and they talk about where's Nami, blah blah blah. Of course Sanji's looking for his little girlfriend, and then Conis is like, "Oh man, I hope that there's this one area in Skypiea that no one is allowed to go, and it just happens to this forbidden zone happens to border our island and is very easy to get to by wave boat." We didn't think to mention that to Nami before when she was on the boat, like, "Hey, don't go to this part, it's fucking restricted." Nami probably would have went anyway, knowing her, but I guess all of a sudden it comes up now. So then it's kind of cool because we go and we see Nami, and she's like, "Wow, they're huge. What is this place?" And what she's referring to is these gigantic redwood-looking trees, and she is that tiny speck down there at the bottom, and just hundreds of feet tall, which is pretty cool, I thought. And then it says, "A place we must never go." Why not? It's sacred. It's the upper yard, the domain of the kami. Now, everybody told me, number one, thank you for the proper pronunciation of kami. It all makes sense. I kind of understand it with all the vowels and Japanese and everything else. I get it. And kami is supposedly translated to be God or gods. So that's definitely kind of cool. It's the upper yard, the domain of the kami, you know? And then you get Nami, she's like, oh, solid ground. So she's going to get off of the wave boat over there. And certainly things are going to heat up. So that's how the chapter ends. And my chapter question is ultimately, what do you think about the explanation of dial power and how it's kind of used in here? I thought it was ingenious, but again, just one of those little quirks, one of those little add-on type of things that you could have really, you didn't have to go and put that in there as the author, but you did, and it just makes the world that much more rich and vivid and entertaining for me. So leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
Thumbs up for Nami and the twins.
I like boobies.